It's Dan Ashworth madness. Get a load of this guy. Staring holes into the soul of every negotiator across the land, far and wide. Not even Gollum would dare face this foe with the golden ring. Forget the name of the ring. The Ring of Mordor, is it? I can't remember. But the ring that makes people go a bit funny. But we're here back to discussing some more transfer biz. Transfer biz. There's stuff going on at Manchester United. It's not slowing down. Sometimes it feels like some stories go a little bit cold and other stories pick up heat. But that's all fun and games, to be fair, though, because it gives you something fresh to talk about practically every day. So it keeps content creators on their feet, that's for sure. But we're talking, starting off with this show, talking about the Greenwood sale that looks like it is just about done. The structure of the deal's been sorted. The terms, I think, are essentially agreed. The structure of the fee, the how it's all going to be paid, the stages of payment, and potential excess clauses as well. So there's all of those sort of things going on with the Greenwood deal, which we'll get into in a moment. We're also going to be quickly talking or addressing apparently a story coming out about Jadon Sancho. Says that man's waiting for Juve, which we'll look into that. We'll discuss what that could be about. Of course, ZIRKZEE the man, looks like the first deal to be done this summer. That is essentially pretty much status here we go at this point. It's just a case of making it all official. So hopefully that happens very, very soon. It did say that it will happen in the coming days. Nothing really more to discuss. It's all just a matter of when, not if. And we'll talk also about De Ligt. Apparently, people saying this deal's pretty much on the essence of a here we go as well. Other outlets have just come out saying, actually, Bayern and Man United, we're not really on the same page at the moment. They're still trying to figure stuff out, which maybe there's some truth to that. Maybe there isn't. We'll discuss that also. Also, Braithwaite, second bid, literally just out of nowhere, like prime Randy Orton, just, there you go, Everton, second bid. And Everton was just like, here you go, rejected. Literally, it just happened, just out of nowhere. Here's a second bid. Oh yeah, no, we're rejecting that. Okay, cool. But it's news. It's a story, and we'll also talk about the implications of said second bid and also the rejection of that bid. And speaking of which, what that bid has probably done, I don't know which order this is in, right? Because this could be that Braithwaite it's like De Ligt certainty, then Braithwaite or Euro, or maybe it's Euro or De Ligt, then Braithwaite. I don't know. I can't be sure on which way round we're trying to work these deals, but also Manchester United are making a big push for Lenny Yoro. Big push. And Lenny Yoro, for the longest time, we've assumed, he's Real Madrid bound. If he doesn't move this summer, he'll move next summer. Well, we're hearing today that two things. The proposal from Manchester United is the only club fee proposal that's been accepted by Lille. Real Madrid's offer is not meeting the criteria. So that means that so far we are technically positioned ahead of Real Madrid in the pursuit for Lenny Yoro. However, what does the player want? We'll address that as well as pretty much the last point to round up the show. We'll also quickly address at the end the first training session for pre-season has been completed, and the manager has given some verdicts. He's answered some questions, and just a general sort of like a happier, more pumped, more vibrous, like vibrous. It's not really a word, vibrous, but still, you're vibing. You're vibing with some of that positive energy, positive juice at Carrington. You know, there's a sense of newfound energy and change in the air. We'll be talking about that as well. So let's not waste any more time, and let's jump into the Greenwood sale news. Now, it's quite funny because the mayor of Marseille, and this is the club that are trying to negotiate or attain the signature of Mason Greenwood. The mayor of Marseille is giving his verdict on the player. Let's just say he does not pull any punches. Do you know what? Do you know what? Let's quickly talk about this now. Let's get this out the way, right? Let's discuss what the mayor of Marseille has had to say. Benoit Payan, I believe his name is, and this is his take on Mason Greenwood. Right, to be honest, I don't really think I don't know if I can actually say. Well, maybe I can, but Greenwood's behaviour, right, and I quote. This is him saying this. Greenwood's behaviour is unspeakable, unacceptable. Hitting his wife. I saw the images that deeply shocked me. Attacking his wife this way is unworthy of a man, and I believe he cannot have a place in this team. The values of Marseille, the values of Olympique de Marseille, are anything but that. It's anything but racism, anti-Semitism. It's anything but, can you imagine, violence against women. Do you realise that? And he wants to play for Olympique de Marseille. Greenwood, it's a disgrace. Following up his comments here as well, I will ask the president of Olympique de Marseille not to recruit Greenwood. I don't want my club to be covered in the shame of someone who hits his wife. I don't want my club to be covered in the ashes of someone who hits his wife like that. It's not acceptable. Sheesh. Jesus Christ. Benoit Payan. End quotes at that point there. So the mayor's not happy, guys. He's not happy that Olympique de Marseille is doing a deal for Mason Greenwood. Let's talk about the actual deal itself, though, because that's what the focus is here. So, the contract to Greenwood offered by Marseille is valid until June 2029, and it has, in the sell-on clause, stated about 50% sell-on value for future sales, which is quite significant, especially dependent on, you know, the trajectory of a player. If he hits it off really well at Marseille, let's just assume that he does get to Marseille, of course, because the mayor might decide to send some G-men after him. We don't know how far he'll be willing to go, but essentially, maybe it could be sold on for even more. It's like what Bayern currently have as a sell-on clause for Joshua ZIRKZEE. Man United will pay whichever way they've structured their deal, and Bayern get 50% of whatever we paid to Bologna. Same thing for Man United, and I like that sort of a clause because it means we don't have to think about that anymore. Get rid of the player, he goes off to that club, he gets sold on a couple of years down the line. Hey, presto, look at that, we've got a nice big cash injection. Excellent, we'll take that. Not only that, but it also stands as pure profit on the books for Manchester United when we sell him. And the values of the deal, so they're saying via David Ornstein here that it's £26.7 million as a total fixed upfront fee, set to be £23.3 million, with then £3.4 million in add-ons, which of course then have also covered the 50% sell-on clause, which is very, very it's juicy. It's stacked. It's a stacked sell-on clause. And we like that. We most certainly like that here. The GOAT saves football. Clear Lake out. Big ups to you, buddy. Good to see you. Hope you're well. And I believe this is the first time in this chat, so welcome along. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And if you haven't liked the stream, people in the chat, please do. Massively helps the channel out. And big thank yous to everyone that does drop by and says hello. Always a pleasure to host people. So, what do we think with the fee? The fee, £26.7 million. Now, could we have gotten more for Greenwood? I think Manchester United wanted more. I think the fans probably, who were desperate to sell him, wanted more. But at the same time, whilst I'm sort of like, yeah, we could have gotten more for him, I can't be too fussed with it, given several points. Point number one, it's pure profit. So when does Manchester United make a sale on a player? That's pure profit. When do we ever do that? I mean, the last player we did it for was Alanga. Who else before that? Zidane, Iqbal. I mean, I can't really think of anybody else. Maybe to Heath Chong. There's not really anybody out there that we've sold from the academy for actually, a fairly relatively decent fee. So for FFP purposes, it serves well. Regardless of which way you look at it, of course, the value being on the lower side of things. Some people might be frustrated by that, but at the same time, you can't sell to another Prem club, because maybe you could charge them more if you're selling to another Prem club. The only problem with that is that culturally, he's not accepted here anymore. He's not accepted anywhere in English football. Other cultures, however, will look past whatever he's done off the pitch and just focus on the fact that it's a football player. Can he play football? What does he do? He plays football. Right. So he's at a football club. We're paying a football player to play football. And that's it. So, the other clubs and different cultures will have different resolves to this. But essentially, selling to Europe is probably the most likeliest market that we'll ever get into. So that's the only place really you can look for, look for cash with the deal. So yeah, to me, it's something that just had to be done. It had to happen. You had to go that way, whether it be Marseille, whether it be an Atletico or a Lazio or a Napoli or a Juve or wherever. It had to be somewhere out there in Europe, and we've essentially got a buyer, although their mayor is very, very much against the deal, extremely against the deal. But it is what it is. Let them sort that out. It could actually fall through, to be fair. The deal could genuinely fall through because the mayor might pull a few strings and completely scrap the deal and throw it in the bin. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see the fallout on that side of things. But yeah, anyways, Greenwood essentially gone. And hopefully that deal gets done ASAP so we can look to reinvest that cash elsewhere and commit to getting more deals done. And not only that, right, but just to polish this off with the sell-on clause as well. That not only, according to Ben Jacobs, that he understands that not only do Man United have the 50% sell-on clause, but they also retain the right to buy additional percentages at a later point. So if Man United really felt like it, they could genuinely say, well, if that's a big sale, will cash out on a couple of extra mils on that as well, which Manchester United can only be winning at that point. We'll take it. We'll take it. Absolutely, we'll take it. So yeah, Greenwood off to Marseille by the looks of it. So, what else on the outgoings? Jadon Sancho. Now, stories with Jadon Sancho, I think the complexity of trying to do a Jadon Sancho deal, I think is a lot more, it revolves a lot more around clubs that will be happy to pay wages, quite lucrative wages, I must say. So not the easiest sort of deal to do, and there's not really going to be a huge amount of buyers there. But I think it might be a patience thing with Sancho. I know we're desperate to get him off the Bills, and it might take us a bit of time to do it. But I think definitely before the summer is out, he will be gone 100%. The club know that they do not, under any circumstances, want to keep this player here at the club for a minute longer if they can help it. So yeah, for me, Sancho, wherever it is he goes, as long as it's done and dusted, get it ticked off and focus, turn the attention and focus elsewhere. The story about Jadon Sancho rejecting a interesting offer, quite a lucrative offer per se, in favour of waiting for Juventus. Now, there could be some truth to that, but there may also be just speculation, right? There is probably just some speculation around that. Jadon Sancho, I think we know, likes to pick and choose with things. I think we know this. And picking a club, whether Juventus is the club that he actually wants, who knows? Genuinely, who knows? I don't think moving to a European club as a British player is any bother to Jadon. He's done it once already, been to Borussia Dortmund. I'm sure he'd be happy to go out, to the Bundesliga again. But I don't think there's a Bundesliga club genuinely interested in buying him, despite Dortmund essentially twerking for him. But they were only looking for a loan deal. But in that case, they probably realised that no manner of deals or approaches that they'll make is going to suit them in any way. So they've shut down, Sancho talk real quick. They've decided, let's put a bit of space between us and that story. Let's pretend it didn't happen. Let's wash the blood off our hands. Let's wash the blood off our hands and drink some chocolate milk to cover the trail. Still waiting on the sponsorship, Alpro Sawyer. I've got my eye on you. Big ups to Anthony Herbert. Big up Fuzzy Clump. Hope you're well. Doing all right up this way. Hope your car didn't break down on the way to the south coast. I hope it was sunny. It wasn't tipping it down, and hope there wasn't tsunamis and tidal waves just like washing away your holiday resort. But I hope everything's all well on your holiday. Well-deserved break, I think, especially in a building industry. Very physical job and taxing, really, really taxing. So always good to get a breakaway and get some physical relaxation from those kind of jobs. But yes, big ups to Anthony Herbert. Good to see him in here as always. But yeah, Sancho to Juventus could happen. I don't think, in terms of a transfer fee, I think is yet to be seen what the fixed demand is going to be. I think we had one thing, talking about maybe like about 40 million for Jadon Sancho. Whether Juve would do that, I don't know, to be honest. I don't know if Juve would put forth £40 million as a transfer fee for Jadon Sancho, considering his wages as well. Probably might do a bit of a Greenwood deal here. Not in the sense that, the same type of deal, but rather the fee drops, but you might try to insert a clause here or there, just so it lessens the blow right here, right now, for oh Jesus, France are already 1-0 up. It softens the blow for the buying club right here, right now, and then they will pay installments further down the line. I think there's a lot of clubs that will probably be trying to do that. So essentially, they get the guarantee of money, but it's not just throwing big money in just big lump sums everywhere. With, of course, FFP looking around a lot of the time, the smaller movements of cash with an overall extended flow from start to finish is probably the best way to, to fast track cash through to buyers. And yeah, essentially, I think that's the way, the approach that a lot of deals are probably going to be done now. Maybe even with Harry Maguire. I know that he's on a sell list, essentially, and the intention is to move him on after he's been told quite directly by two people, Eric Ten Hag, but also this guy here, Dan Ashworth, has also said that the intent is to move him on this summer, because the role that he's going to have in the team is either the same, if not less, than he had last season. And he was out of favour for a lot of the season. He literally played because of injury. He played because of injuries. And that's the harsh reality of it for Harry Maguire. And now it's time to test the ambitions. It is absolutely time to test the ambitions, and I think he'll be gone. I think Harry Maguire will be gone in the summer, and he has to go as well, because we do need the extra funds as well to make these sort of deals for the likes of Braithwaite, Euros, and other centre-back deals. So, yeah, for me, Harry Maguire I'm sure will be out the door. Jadon Sancho will be out the door. I think there's plenty of time still left to sort those types of deals out, and it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be interesting. Just the whole summer transfer window, and I'll include this in the chat about the Man United vibes thing when we get to it at the end there. Watching the game with a nice cold pint, and France is 1-0 up. Yep, 1-0 up. Nilhua, and it is Kolo Muani, assisted by Kylian Mbappe. So España, it's looking like Spain is currently in their own country without the S. But I can't imagine they'll be sat behind for too long before they get back into the swing of things. But yeah, that's probably where everybody is at the moment, to be fair. It's quite quiet around the streams. I think everybody's out watching this semi-finals. I think a lot of the Brits will be wanting to know, eagerly anticipating who the opponent's going to be if we get to the final. And that's if we get to the final. We've got the Netherlands tomorrow. So that will be interesting. So yeah, ZIRKZEE. Now, as I've said at the start of the stream, that ZIRKZEE deal could be days away from the here we go, or the deal completion, mere days away, and it might quite literally be that, because they have said story-wise that once international duty is done for ZIRKZEE, he'll be straight on to completing that deal before I'm sure he jets off to his holidays. Won't be joining us on the pre-season tours, but he'll be back, I think, for the last like warm-up or pre-seasonal game before we go into like Community Shield and stuff. And then after that, the first game against Fulham. So yeah, there's quite a few. There's going to be a lot of people. I think most, if not all, the signings that we'll make right now. It's going to be a case of having to wait until after pre-season, essentially before everyone's sort of in the squad picture. Of course, the window ends sort of 31st of August, so there is that. There's going to be a few Premier League games having been played before we get to deadline day, and maybe we're still doing a deal or two just to cap off the summer transfer window. And if we're doing that kind of deal, where it's like the polisher deal, you polish off the last etchings of the summer transfer window. Yeah, that's it's like it's like the sweet spot, the honey. Yeah, the drip of honey over the top, the honey glaze on honey glaze of delight and excitement for a successful transfer window. So yeah, it's I'm looking forward to it, man. It's going to be an exciting window to pay attention to watch it unfold every day. Something new can happen. Fuzzy, me and the missus had a late night walk and ended up having an orgy in a tractor. An orgy in a tractor. What better way than to enjoy it? Was it on the beach as well? Do you drive down in the tractor and just have it on the beach? Not only do you have a tractor parked on the beach, but you're having an orgy there as well. And if it's an orgy, who joined you? Because if it was just you two, you might as well have just said that you were just out dogging. You know, late night walk with the dog, but ended up dogging anyways. But you know, who joined you? Who joined the gangbang? But yeah, that's Anthony Herbert chat for you. But yes, Joshua ZIRKZEE, deal done, of course, as we've said. If the Netherlands campaign ends tomorrow night against England, that does mean that ZIRKZEE and De Ligt as well, both of them cleared of duty. And of course means that they can focus on doing any business that needs to be done, and then of course enjoying the holidays after that. I think the ZIRKZEE deal, of course, well ahead, I think, of the from a club standpoint, of course, well ahead of the De Ligt deal. That's in its own place right now, but it is progressing and quite at quite a pace, supposedly, as well. But ZIRKZEE, essentially deal done. We know that the agent, the player terms are agreed, agent fee is agreed, club, the amount that the clubs want to pay, I think is also agreed. Essentially, I think the only thing is just deciding that structure. How do we want to pay this? Because if we pay 34 million up front, and it's like I said, with how clubs are going to get around playing their hand with big money moves, I don't think we're going to see that. I think it's going to be lesser fees, paying installments, spread the payments out across multiple years. We know the deal is 5 years for ZIRKZEE, a 5-year deal. As for the wages, not disclosed yet. Remain undisclosed for the meanwhile. I'm sure that once we get to the here we go factor, the wage talks will probably come out, and it'll be interesting to see what the agreed wages will be. And if they are, I'll tell you what, if they're smaller wages, I'll be really surprised, because I can't imagine, looking at the current wage structure, that a lot of players or agents will be like, yeah, sure, we'll take this really small wage fee. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Significantly less than anybody else, despite coming in to essentially be a first team fixture in the first team picture. So yeah, it was. It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I'm heavily anticipating the numbers, or crunch the numbers when they come out. Second, Double Dutch Delight is essentially what this ZIRKZEE Delict deals have been associated as, and Double Dutch Delight is the second Dutch signing close, and that has come into question recently. That has definitely come into question recently. We've heard, I think it's Plettigol. Two things with Plettigol. Supposedly with Plettigol, they've there's one other story that they basically contradicted what everybody's been saying about another deal, but this deal with Delict between Man United and Bayern, that the club side of things, the clubs are not close to an agreement because there's been no official offer on the transfer fee. There may not be the official offer that's been made. There may not have been. The proposal, I believe, in terms of what the structure or how much the region of the fee. Now, I can probably say that that is truth, because when we talk about, oh, the Delict deal is going to be this amount, we see it from loads of different outlets that that price, that number is changing very frequently. We're seeing 40, 49, 43, 40, 34, 36 or 38, and loads of different percentages of add-ons. Like, the numbers are changing a lot. They're changing a lot. So I think in terms of official offers, nothing's been made yet. And I think maybe with the proposal, there's probably an agreement as to what rough sort of area they'll look to do the deal on. But the personal side of things with the player and agent fees and terms is foregone conclusion. They're happy with everything. It's all just between the clubs now. Now, Plettigol, I think the way it was worded has probably stunk up the place a little bit. People were just like, really? First we were about to get the here we go from Matthias de Ligt, and now we're seeing that it's not even close. What's this about? So I think calma, just to take a bit of a breather. Spain getting a goal back. Would you look at that? Yamal gets that goal. Yamal, proper winger that. Maybe we should sign him to be the Sancho replacement. If we had Saudi Arabian fund money, of course, we would have done that. But we don't, so we can't. We're just rummaging through the hay. France won, Spain won. Hell yeah. I just realised as well, by the way, that tonight that there is literally UEFA Champions League qualification games going on. Literally, UEFA Champions League clubs are currently playing right now tonight. Man, this is weird. UEFA, you're weird. Straight up. Absolute weirdos. Weirdo organisation. But it is what it is. But yeah, I think with the Delict story, not really too much to be too bothered about. Not too much to be fussed. Branthwaite. We'll jump onto Branthwaite. There is Branthwaite's story is a bit of a random one. It's random because I know that Manchester United are definitely very much in the favour of signing Jarrad Branthwaite. But of course, as we know, Everton, they are not really up for the idea of selling Branthwaite to anyone. If they do, they want some ridiculous amounts of money. The first proposal or bid was essentially placed on the table. They said, no. None of that, thank you. And then we've approached with the second bid, and this happened literally out of the blue. Second bid went in, priced our value, I think it was about £45 million, with then 5 million in add-ons. That was tabled, and again Everton very quickly said no, no. And they believe, Everton Football Club believe, because of the deals in the likes of Harry Maguire, Wesley Fofana, I can't remember his first name, but Vardiol, those sorts of players, Everton believe Branthwaite sits in the same profile of player as them. So they believe if they sell for 80 million, around that sort of ballpark, then why can't Branthwaite be that same value? Why can't they be the same value? Well, two things. Branthwaite is not that profile of player. He's a different profile of player. Two, nobody on planet Earth thinks that Branthwaite's worth the amount that you're asking for him. Three, he's not good enough to warrant a club being desperate to pay ridiculous fees for the player. He's not good enough. He's not good enough for that kind of a deal. So, unfortunately, Everton, you'll have to take your expectations and shove them where the sun doesn't shine. And yeah, we'll leave it short and sweet with that. And Spain, what in God's name is going on there? They've turned it around. It's now 2-1 to Spain. Well, Dani Olmo's got that second goal for España. Man's crazy. Man, the Spaniards are crazy. Absolutely crazy. But Branthwaite, yeah, second bid, very quickly decided and very quickly rejected. But it's moves, man. It's moves. It sort of gets you excited. You think, okay, yeah, they're putting the money. They're putting up some funds, and I like that about this regime. It's not just talks, and more talks. It's actually just it's more action. It's more action. They'll negotiate the finer details once they sort of know that they've broken down that initial wall. When they sort of get to the point where it's like, right, we like what we have here. We've sort of got in the same ballpark. We're open to negotiations. Let's sit down. Let's have a talk. And the fact that Manchester United are not just doing this, but doing this on several fronts at the same time, I like this. I really, really like this. There's about 7 different transfers that Man United are essentially working on at the same time, right? Between incomings and outgoings. I really like that. Really, really like that. So, it does breathe that breath of fresh air, that breath of fresh air, and it feels good. It really does feel good for us Man United fans. Of course, we're still sat in a position right now where we've not actually signed anybody. We've not signed anybody, but the deals we know we're working on, they're coming. They're coming. It doesn't help that. It really doesn't help that we've got the Euros going on right now, because there's a lot of players that are on international duties that we are trying to sign, but we can't really do the deals and finalize the signings and get them, pen to paper until they've got the freedom to do so. So on that basis, we've got to be a bit patient, but we're seeing movement and we're seeing action, and that's what's most important. It's not just about talk anymore. We'll address this as well. Lenioro, Real Madrid target. Everybody and their grandmother, I think, knows that Lenioro wants. He wants Real Madrid, or so we thought. Now, he could turn around and say, well, actually, the prospect of Manchester United, it's not actually too bad. I kind of like the sound of that. He could turn around and say, yes, please, let's get this deal on the road, Manchester United. Of course, most of the outlets are saying that the guy wants Real Madrid. He's Real Madrid bound. Two problems is that, one, Real Madrid are significantly below the asking price from Lille's standpoint, significantly below, so they can't really do a deal until they match the asking price. But Real Madrid don't want to do that. And then there's short-term or recently released report stating that I think it might have been Pletigol that said this, again with the flying in contradictions, is that Lenioro's not actually decided. He's not actually said, no, I'm going Real Madrid. He's not said that he's going anywhere yet, apparently. Now, I don't know if it is Pletigol or if it was somebody else. I'm assuming that it was Pletigol, because I believe it was a contradictive story compared to the narrative pushed by everybody else. So for me, Lenioro, I like the target. I like the idea. I like the prospect of the signing. And if it is a target that Real Madrid are serious about, the proposal, by the way, that Manchester United put forth about signing the player, Lille said, well, actually, your proposal's pretty much bang on. Yeah, about 50 million euros. You know, we're you know, Manchester United, we're all ears for you. We are all ears. Real Madrid, they've not matched us. They've not come up. They've come up significantly short. So it's a possible prospect that Lenioro could, as a Real Madrid target, decide to go to Manchester United, which, by the way, he'd be turning down. If he does choose to do this, he'd be turning down reigning Champions League champions, right? 15 times. I think it's 15 or 16 times Champions League winners, right? For a non-Champions League club, for a Europa League club. Literally, Manchester United, 8th place finish. FA Cup champions, of course. Can't forget that. Can't forget the FA Cup champions. But Europa League qualification. So there's a lot of players that on another day would probably sit there and say, well, I want Champions League football. I want Champions League. Well, actually, some of them are now sat there saying, well, actually, I just like the prospect of playing for this Man United team. Like, something is going on over there. They're cooking something. The calls that my agents have got are some of the best calls they've ever had in terms of trying to sell us a project. Like, we're convinced by this. So it's an interesting concept for us to think about as players and agents. What actually gets said in contrast between the old regime and this new regime that we currently have. Now, I think that there is definitely, if you are a smaller club, you do have to work harder in convincing a player to come to your club. You do have to work harder because you're trying to grow a club to be better. You're trying to improve the quality of your squad, increase the profile of the players that you sign, you know, attract better quality as time goes on because the squad gets better. And then, of course, the club reciprocate that with results across the season. There's a lot of woodwork that has to go into doing things that way. But when you're at Manchester United, it's essentially takes the picture of a fallen giant or a sleeping giant. And, you know, it becomes a case that you, as somebody who's trying to sell this project to a player, the second you mention the name of Manchester United, players will turn their heads. even in this day and age. You say Manchester United, a player's going to turn their head. It's like, oh, Manchester United want me. Well, last time I heard, they weren't doing so well. What's that? They've got a whole new regime going on. They've got, like, everyone's hyped up again. Like, there's a lot of change going on over there. I mean, cool. I mean, if they call, pick up the phone. Let's see what they've got to say. And just like that, the sweet talking starts. And you can convince a player like that. You can convince a player like that. And Ten Hag as well in his comments. We'll get to this in just a moment. I've just also had an update, which I believe is about Ugarte. Arsenal Manic, good evening, lads. Good evening to you, Arsenal Manic. How are we doing? Hope all is good with you. So yeah, Manuel Ugarte looks like. Okay, there's a Branthwaite update again. Allegedly, they're talking about a third bid for Jared Branthwaite, which is it's interesting because it sort of goes a bit into the realm of like how much are we truly willing to put on the table here for Branthwaite? Is he really that important? This is coming from Time Sport, so I don't really know if this is going to be true. But if it is, then I can't imagine that it's going to be like Manchester United going to table 60 to 70 million. I genuinely think it's probably going to be like if the other one was 45 plus 5, this one's probably going to be 47.5 plus like 5 or something. Maybe something like that. They'll probably push it up with baby steps now because I can't imagine that Man United would want to spend anywhere near 60, 70 million pounds for Jared Branthwaite. So, but watch this space, guys. Watch this space. So yes, the Manuel Ugarte update, that's coming short notice. Santi JFM. The MUFC and PSG have become closer to an agreement in recent hours regarding Manuel Ugarte. Everything's not yet complete, but things are progressing positively. So yes, we're seeing us getting closer to what PSG would be happy with. So Fabrizio Romano's retweeted his latest update from the Ugarte story, which he wrote back then that United and PSG have been in touch again in recent hours for Ugarte. Ugarte's had interest from other clubs as well. PSG are open to selling him this summer, and he's expected to leave. But he'd also be open to joining Man United without Champions League football, but no formal bid has been submitted for the player yet, which is reasonable, right? It is reasonable. It is like, this is to be expected. As to who the other clubs are that will go in for Ugarte, dependent on who it is that is interested, could depend. It could decide whether Ugarte gets taken off the there's just more updates with Jared Branthwaite again. But yeah, so dependent on the other clubs that are interested, maybe maybe the other clubs they hit the asking price and they do the deal. Of course, Man United, they're trying to underball a lot of price valuations at the moment. They're testing a lot of waters, testing a lot of resolves, and seeing what clubs are made of. PSG supposedly want somewhere in the region for 60 million euros for the player. Manchester United have tested the waters in the 40s, so sort of low to mid 40s. I'm sure they'll probably up the bids a little bit, but not by much. I can't imagine they'll go up by much, but I'm sure PSG they'll get to a resolve quite soon, I would expect. But yes, let's talk about Erik ten Hag's comments. See if I can find it. We'll be ready for the future. We'll be ready for the future. Right, let's see if I can. So yeah, if I can find the comments on Twitter, because the YouTube, there's no other official comments anywhere else either. Big up hot fellas, let's get into 200 subs. Yes, please. Good to see you, Tony. Hope you're doing well. And everybody in the chat, make sure you do go subscribe to Early Doors Football TV as well. West Ham United supporter. And speaking of which, a bit of transfer news regarding West Ham as well. Aaron Wan-Bissaka might be on the agenda for a new right-back signing for West Ham, which will be interesting to see if West Ham progress in that deal. And also as well, make sure to subscribe to The Goat Says Football as well, as he has his own channel if you do like your Chelsea stuff. So big ups to everybody in the chat there. And yes, everybody's saying good evening to each other. So a couple of comments. See if I can get a hold of. God, it's bloody annoying. This is. Trying to get the comments made by the manager just sort of compiled into one. So I think we are, yes, there we go. There we go. There we go. Let's discuss. Right, so Erik ten Hag, train of his comments here, so we'll read through those. So asked about the situation. So this was all, before, I think it was either before or after his first pre-season training session. So his comments here, as I quote, "With new ownership coming in, they can help us. They have been very supportive, and we make it our process. The last day of the season, the FA Cup final win, it was a brilliant day, one of the best days for many people. We showed we can compete with the best and beat them. We have to set the standards and control the standards every day." Talking about next season's aims, then he aims for a lot. We won an FA Cup and a Carabao Cup, but we have high expectations and we have to raise our standards. So supposedly even more, trophies are the agenda at Manchester United, it would seem. Who knew? Couldn't be Arsenal. I'm sorry, Arsenal just had to catch a stray there. They just had to. Following up that comment as well there, when we go into every game with those standards, we have a very good chance of being very successful. Of course. And the sky is blue, the grass is green. My parting is legendary, and this glass of chocolate milk is amazing. The many certainties of life, including taxes and death. Not unless you live in Dubai, of course. Well, the death part is everywhere, but taxes, not so much. Eric Ten Hag had some comments to say on Jason Wilcox and Dan Ashworth's arrivals. He stated that we are so pleased around the football, around the first team. We have a strong structure that will help us. They are so supportive. They will help us in scouting, recruitment, and they will raise the bar. We are working on this. As I said, MUFC didn't win a trophy for 6 years. Now we've won 2. We're aiming higher, like the Premier League title. This is after finishing 8th, people. After finishing 8th. I know that the setup in the club and the changes in structure will be ready for the future. We feel it. In football, the next game is the most important game. The next season is the most important. And talks on the vibes, the atmosphere around the training ground. There's no way not to be positive about it. Talking about England versus Netherlands tomorrow as well. He states that I spoke to the lads. It's a fantastic game coming up. Both sides in a semi-final in the highest level. Everybody's excited. Football is so important in the culture of England and Holland. The pre-season schedule as well. He stated that it's a short slot. We have to take each game seriously. And it does feel like that, to be fair. It does genuinely feel like this pre-season is not going to have as many games as in it as it did before, especially last season, because there was a lot of pre-season games last season. Pre-season availability, we have a decent number of first-team players who will build the foundation of a good team. Who those players are, I don't know. Can't find any other comments as well. I think there were other comments that he stated about other things as well. Something to do with the new training ground as well. I think he stated that we'll end up with like one of the best training grounds in the country, which maybe we will, maybe we won't. I think especially if you're committing £50 million. I mean, £50 million on a training ground. That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money for a training ground, and I would most certainly expect that the equipment's going to be state of the art, and it's going to look very, very impressive. Work is currently going on with it as well. So yeah, positivity right the way around the club. And speaking of which, we'll wrap things up with this. That the energy, the vibes, the feel around the club at the moment, even though there's not really any new players that are here yet, nobody's holding up a shirt yet, nobody's going, oh my god, look at the amount of signings we're making, look at the millions of players leaving the club as well. I think that all of those sort of things, they are coming, right? It's all going to happen, guaranteed, set to happen, set in stone. But it's just the energy that's coming with it. I think everyone at the club now and in the fan base is recognizing the clear and obvious signs that change is there, change is happening. The way the club was conducting itself before is completely different from how it's handling business now. In terms of everything it's doing on the pitch and off the pitch, things will change on the pitch. They're bound to change. New coaching staff, probably a new lease of life, with a boardroom that says you play exactly the way that you want to play. Don't change for anything. Play your football. We are here to provide you with a foundation, a structure of support. And that's what Ten Hag didn't have before. He had numpty number one, and then if you could, be really bothered to go up to it, to escalating things. The numpty number 2, which was John Murtaugh with Murtaugh Madness, right? Thank God that's gone. And then you have Richard Arnold / Ed Woodward up above them. And it's like, how the hell is any manager in world football meant to successfully run a club under pressure with that support structure? Now, the manager's got a load of recruitment specialists and director specialists that are constantly talking to him, constantly going to him, loads of conversations. And it's like, Ten Hag has probably never felt so supported in his life. Like even more so than the Ajax days, because the Ajax days were, you're operating under real strict budgets, and you're a selling club, so you're building a team to try and waltz the league there, and then you're going to lose your whole squad, and then you've got to try and build everything all over again. Ten Hag is basically got a club where it's like, well, he gets to build something and keep building it and keep building it and keep building it and keep building it, and then retaining it, then retaining it, then recycling, retain, and keeping that sort of state of flow going. So he could go on for years and years and years and years, but he's got everything that he needs in place to really help the process of that, the transition, runs super smoothly. Like there's no really rough or choppy seas, because the club around him can't do what he wants it to do, or what he would like it to do. And that's the thing. He wants the club to do this thing, to do all of these things without needing to demand it. The club's doing it on its own, right? Because they want one thing, Ten Hag wants one thing. The one things they want are the same. And because it's a unified front there, the goals are unanimous. It's all together. It's all in one. And that's a synergy at a club that you need to push forwards. That's what you need to progress the club, to go into a new state of performance for a club, and how the mindset works, how you think about the challenges. When you go into a season, what are your aims? Are you aiming for qualification for a tournament, or are you aiming for silverware? With Manchester United, Ten Hag came in as a sole individual and thinking, well, I want silverware. I don't know about you guys. Well, he goes into Carrington and everyone's talking about silverware. And everyone's talking about, well, if anybody here does not want to aim for silverware, the door's there. The door is there. And I think if everyone's got the same thought process, the same mentality, and everyone's on the same page, and it's not just around squad level, it's the directors, recruitment specialists, the CEO that's about to start work. Apparently it's on the 13th as well, by the way. I think it's 13th. And it's the 9th today. Literally, we're about 4 or 5 days away from Omar Barada starting. So you got the CEO who's thinking with that, champions mentality. The directors, board level directors that serve above the CEO, also want the winning mentality. Everybody at Manchester United cares only at the end of the day, when all is said and done, the one thing, and this is the vibes that I'm getting. Whether they stick around, I hope they do, because if your vibes stick around and the intent sticks around, you might go through a process, but ultimately your process will be successful because you back it, you believe in it, and you trust it all the way. And I'll tell you what, when you talk about processes, at least with this one, you can actually see what the process is, right? You can see what the process is. There's something there to trust. And that's what Man United just never had before. The structure we've got here today, and let me put it this way for you, the structure we had today, right, today, on July 9th, 2024, in various degrees, is actually significantly better than the structure Manchester United had at boardroom level under the prime Sir Alex Ferguson era. And that club was dominant. It was dominant at that point. They've assembled a super team of officials. If everything really does sort of build up and progress and get better and constantly be on the incline, give or take 5 years, 5 to 10 years, we'll be looking right away across at Real Madrid. It's just like, sup. Everybody else will be looking up at us. Man City might be told to be the noisy neighbours again. We might, like, it might sound like I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm talking about some hypotheticals, right? If everything goes swimmingly well, can you imagine that? Manchester City become the noisy neighbours again. Tell you what, when that day comes, football will have well and truly healed. I'll leave it at that. So, big ups to everybody who has joined me for this stream. Big appreciations to everybody that has stopped by to say hello, and big ups to everybody that has liked the show. Do be sure to leave your comments and your thoughts and verdicts on the matters that have been discussed in this show tonight. Once again, a big thank you to everybody that has tuned in, and hopefully if anybody new has subscribed, which we have, we've gained another subscriber. Boys, we're 5 away. We're 5 away from 200, the summer target. That'll be fantastic if we can hit that nice and soon. But yes, once again, a big thank you to everybody that has stopped by to say hello. Hopefully, once again, we'll catch you again very, very soon. Likewise, as well, to Early Doors there. Big thank yous to you. Thank you for tuning in. It's always a pleasure to have you in the chat. And yes, so big thank yous to everyone who's liked, subscribed, watched, and all of that good malarkey. The great malarkey, magnificent malarkey. But anyways, sure, there will be plenty more updates coming out as we go throughout the days as well. It's noisy, really, really noisy on the transfer front from Manchester United, and you know I couldn't be more excited about it. So yeah, watch this space. If you got the notification bell switched on, you'll be first to know once we go live, and all of that good stuff. So yes, once again, thank you very much for watching, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night, and of course the rest of the France-España game. Interesting game that's looking like it's turning into there. So definitely worthwhile watching. Enjoy your evenings, enjoy the game, enjoy whatever it is you guys are doing, or however it is you're spending your Tuesday nights. And perhaps we'll be back again tomorrow. There's no good, the bad, and the ugly tomorrow, sadly. It was end of season 1 last week. So and we did a quiz night that week. So do be sure to cock back and check that stream out if you haven't done so already. Perhaps we'll have to replace it. We'll have to replace it with something else, you know, the part-time show, until, of course, the season 2 comes around again. So when it does come, we'll be sure to let you know. But big thank yous to everybody. Take care. Stay blessed. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesdays, and we'll see you again soon. But for now, goodbye.